Hi, for anyone that missed my last talk, secret leadership is not seen, but it is heard. I wanted to give you a quick summary of what I spoke about, and hopefully that will encourage you to come to my next talk on silent leadership. So from what I've observed, secret leadership breaks down into three main sections, and the first of these is influence. So in my opinion, secret leadership is very small activities, often taking place in the odd minute of conversation here and there, across really the whole team within an organization. And really what that does is create a sense of influence, a sense of inspiration within the organization with which you work. That influence can create a safe space for people, and in creating a safe space for people to express their originality, their creativity, and sometimes to go on and invent new methods, processes, or even products, then that's really a sense within the community that you work. It's not something that someone can put their finger on in a tangible way. It's something that is just felt throughout the organization. And that feeling is really created by the leader showing by example how to encourage others, how to compliment them on their work, how to give them space to discuss new ideas or the issues that they face. So influence is probably the least tangible of the things I'm going to talk about in this particular segment. The other element of secret leadership is really guidance. So this is much more visible. It's when a leader might ask questions and ask someone to reflect on how they've solved a problem. It might be when someone is upset and approaches their manager, their leader, and that particular person shows empathy for something that's going on in their personal life, or even something that's going on in work that actually they could do with some advice in solving. And also it's about giving a compass bearing to each team or group of people to kind of check in on whether the direction that they've chosen for developing a certain product or addressing an issue within the organization is kind of something that will align with the overall values and sense of what the organization is. So a compass bearing is really required when you have an organization of over 100 people, I think. When it's under 100 people, you can get to know people really well. You have a very personalized relationship with each person. And so you can influence and challenge maybe their thinking to bring people into alignment in terms of where you're going as a company, as a team. But when you have a bigger team, like over 100 people, then a compass bearing is a less tangible thing. It's more about with empowered and responsible staff, kind of giving a barometer, I guess, of is this the kind of thing we want to be doing? Yes, it's over to the positive side. It's not quite, as where we want to be, but it's getting there. Or maybe it's just not in the direction that you wanted to go in. And therefore, the way you might communicate that would be very much on a kind of getting hotter, getting colder kind of analogy, but is sensitive to the person's idea and still accepting of their kind of effort or exposure in revealing their thoughts. So empathy and reflection is really important in giving a compass bearing, because that person still needs to feel safe in expressing whatever they feel or their idea or their solution to a problem. And then we come to specification. So with secret leaders, it tends to be more of an influencing sense of community, sense of culture, way of leading a team. So it's less directional. But occasionally there might be time to intervene when perhaps the timing of a launch or a product, or how urgently someone's addressing something is too slow or too fast. There may be a little more direction, in the sense of if the compass bearing kind of continues to go in the wrong direction, then you may want to look at in detail why that is and provide a firmer kind of direction for that person, particularly if they're less experienced. And also if there's an issue with consensus across a team where there might be some disagreements, let's say, on which direction to go in, what solution to choose, which idea to invest in. then maybe that's the time for that leader to intervene in a very specific way and kind of cut through the noise. So this is my summary of how a leader might act in each kind of section and category of secret leadership. Influence is obviously the least tangible one. So really it's a question of inspiring through enthusiasm, through the excitement behind achieving a specific goal, through really just communication and style and charisma. Whispering is much more about the kind of 1 minute manager approach of, how are you today? What's going on in this project? Tell me about, God, that's a really good achievement. Fantastic. Thank you very much. All those kind of small comments that come into your day-to-day world. It used to be called walking the floor. So that kind of commentary interaction can be very, very short, but actually have a lot of influence. And also then there's the discussion. So delving deeper into what someone's doing, how they have created that particular product, or what they've worked on, what they're most proud of. And you may spend more time discussing that. And that kind of time and influence echoes on throughout the organization and provides a kind of cultural example for the rest of the people working with you. Then under guidance, I always think secret leadership is a very specific style. It's often not seen because it's such small things and such a sort of massive list of incremental change or incremental influence. But the styles obviously can change. So if there's an emergency, you might need to become more directional. If everything's ticking over, then secret leadership, or even just watching from afar and just intervening if necessary, can be a style. But obviously each style is adopted at different times and in different places within your organization, depending on the external environment and what's going on that day. Guidance also is a kind of echo within your network and community within your organization. So networking, obviously we look at it from an external perspective mostly, that you're keeping in touch with the environment and the external environment. But networking can also work really well within an organization, particularly a large one. And I kind of look at this as a bit like gossip, really, that gossip can be both positive and potentially negative and destructive. But if it's positive and the inspiration and the whispering that you've done under influence echoes on throughout the company in the right way, and you know, people kind of gel with a particular idea and want to kind of join in, really, then that networking, that gossip is a very positive one and actually has a big influence on the way people behave. And then thirdly, within guidance, really the compass bearing is about prioritization. When you do have a massive list of things to do within a team, as an individual or as a bigger group, then prioritization is really important if you're short on resources. And so that helps with the compass bearing kind of approach. And the final one is about specification. So with most kind of secret leadership led organizations, then each individual will set their own goals. There may be a corporate goal, a kind of set of values, but actually within that, each individual is looking at goal setting for themselves. And that really creates a feeling of empowerment and control over their own environment. And then in addition to that, if they're able to make decisions within certain frameworks, or have, you know, as much kind of influence over their own destiny as possible, then that can really help. But occasionally the leader may need to step in and edit some of the goals or discuss the decisions and check that they're in line with what you're trying to achieve overall. And finally, there's really a direct intervention when there's lots of conflicting opinions. There may be lots of conflicting problems that need resourcing and attention. And so really in this area, it's a much more intervention-based leadership, which isn't really secret leadership, but shouldn't have to happen too often if the empowerment, training, resource provision is right throughout the company. So that was all I really wanted to say about my last talk. Please do come to my next one. The link is in the text on LinkedIn, and really looking forward to seeing you.